Hey, what's goody, Frye gang? If you're a fan of Splatoon, chances are you know about the many pieces of merch we have for the series. One such piece being art books. We get these art books full of art, more lore, concept designs, developer interviews, and more after each subsequent release of the Splatoon games. And most recently, we're getting the art of Splatoon 3, which dropped on March 31st of last year, and an English localized version has yet to be announced, but I'm sure that will be coming within this year or the year after. However, there is one art book that you may not be aware of, and that is the elusive Hikata Walker. Hikata Walker, also known in-game as Inkopolis Illustrated, is a book of official art from Octo Expansion, released in Japan on December 28, 2018. It contains 272 pages and is modeled after a fashion magazine appearing in-game, which you can also see in the Deep Sea Metro. The book contains various artworks and design documents from both Octo Expansion and the main game of Splatoon 2, including 2 storyboard style manga, details about fashion designer Tani Kensa, and an interview with a fictional graffiti artist, an interview with the developers about Squid Beats 2, and information about bands such as Chirpy Chips and Squid Squad. It is published by Kadokawa and is sold for 2,200 yen plus tax, which relatively converts to $15.02 USD. And this is another example, like the many other Splatoon collabs and merch, that is Japan exclusive and doesn't seem like it will be getting an English localization anytime soon or ever. This came out in 2018. It's been over half a decade since then, so I'm pretty confident in saying that we will most likely not be seeing an English release of this, which is unfortunate considering how beloved Octo Expansion is throughout the series. However, not all hope is lost, as to no surprise, Rasicas has actually gone through with translating the entire thing from Japanese to English. Of course, they did not do it by themselves, as they had help from MK Squid and Legume respectively. So go show all 3 of them some support, as I'm sure this was no easy task. And that's not all they're doing. They're actually still actively to this day updating this translation with any errors or typos or anything. So they're really putting a lot of dedication and hard time and effort into this, as to make it the best possible experience and closest to official as possible. Now, the existence of Hikata Walker almost kind of guarantees that we will also be getting an art book for Side Order, whatever that will be called, and we can kind of make a guess as to when that might actually come out. For the very first Art of Splatoon book, it was officially released in Japan in 2015, the same year Splatoon 1 originally dropped, and then it wasn't until 2 years later in 2017 that the English version dropped. So roughly a 2-year difference, which is also congruent with Splatoon 2's art book, The Art of Splatoon 2. The Japanese version released in 2017, again the same year as Splatoon 2 launched, and then we got an official English translation in 2019, 2 years later. And then Hikata Walker came out in 2018, so a year before the official English release of the Splatoon 2 art book. And since it's been 5 years since Hikata Walker first came out, I don't think we'll be seeing an English release for it anytime soon, considering we just got the Japanese version of The Art of Splatoon 3 back in March of last year. So if the trend keeps going, we should be seeing an English release for it next year in 2025, or they could change that and just drop it this year, because Side Order is coming out this year. They could do that to build hype, I guess. And if Side Order did end up getting a art book that could be coming out this year in Japan. I mean, it wouldn't be too far out of the question since we got an art book, or at least Japan got an art book for Octo Expansion the same year it dropped. So if we did get a Japanese release of a Splatoon 3 side order art book, it would be either this year or next year at the very latest. And if it did ever get an English release, like Hikaru Walker should have, then we would probably see that in 2026. If, the trend were to keep up. And by that time, Splatoon 4 should be out by 2026. We don't know. I hope so, but I also want them to take the time to polish Splatoon 4 as much as they can. But that's really all there is to it. We just never got an Octo Expansion art book. Hikaru Walker wasn't ever officially translated into English, which is kind of depressing since I like Octo Expansion a lot, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. A lot of people think Octo Expansion was the peak of Splatoon, so having that one art book that we didn't get compared to everything else is kind of just painful. But I am hopeful that we should be getting a side order art book, if not localized, then at least in Japan, and we can get fan translations or just still look at the art from the book. That would be pretty nice to see. However, I will be linking Rasika's translation in the description, as well as Rasika's, MK Squid's, and Legume's Twitter accounts in the description as well. So you can go check them out and check out the translation if you are into that. I'm not sure if it translates the pages directly, so it's just scans but translated, or just all the text translated. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will link everything in the description for y'all to go check out for yourselves if you really want to. But that's really about it for this video, so see you next mission and play some goddamn Splatty.